Welcome to the Floor Academy podcast. I'm your host, Kyle Hadeen, former installation contractor and boutique retail owner. With me this week is Jim Tsigos of Tsigos Construction in Delran, New Jersey, with 24 years experience in the construction industry. What do we got? Master carpenter, certified tile installer, among other qualifications as well. He's he's been around the block. He knows a few things. He's had to hire people like the rest of us. And that's a question I always see, right? Where are you hiring people? How are you getting them? How are you retaining them? All of these questions, especially with today's youth that are lazy and no good, and we can't keep them around, and they don't want to do anything. So we're going to talk about meeting them where they're at. And I've talked about on the show before, but we're gonna dig into that a little bit deeper. Jim is out actually doing this. He is getting our industry exposure to the people that don't even know it exists. He's bringing it to them and actually meeting them where they're at, instead of just hoping that somebody discovers, like I did, this industry through, a thought process of what are my skill set, and then cold calling 30 contractors to find a job. There's not a lot of people built that way anymore. And so we as an industry need to do more to protect our future well-being as well as others, and give them a chance to find this great flooring, tile, stone industry and be a part of it and help bolster it and make it better. So we're going to dig into all of that today. I want to thank Shauna over at Johns Manville. This episode was kind of arranged by her, so shout out to them. We'll hear an ad from Johns Manville a little bit later, but the Go Board team is absolutely awesome. And before we get started, why are we here? Well, Floor Academy is having these discussions every week about business, how to better run your business more efficiently, how to, keep control of your personal life or your physical being. Just how can we be better, that 1% better every day, so that you can run a better business more efficiently, more profitably, create a better team so that you can be around less. That's what we're doing here, because we want this industry to be the best. Instead of carpenters and electricians and plumbers being mentioned all the time, I want everyone to say, man, your kid should go be a flooring installer. That's the trade you want to be in. So that's what we're working on building here through our weekly episodes. Don't forget to like, subscribe, find us on YouTube, your favorite listening app. And of course, you can find us in our Facebook group, Floor Academy. So let's see, before we get started here, we got a quick word from Cronus Software. If your flooring business is giving you headaches, Cronus is the remedy you need. Cronus Flooring Business Manager is an easy-to-use and affordable solution that simplifies and streamlines your business operations, managing everything from leads and inventory to scheduling installations, all in one user-friendly platform. What sets Cronus apart is its comprehensive suite of features, ease of navigation, and full integration with QuickBooks. Don't let your business be a headache. Choose Cronus for a smoother, headache-free business management experience. Visit cronussoft.com/academy today to schedule a demo. That is KRONUSSOFT.com/academy. Cronus, fast relief for your flooring business headaches. That's enough out of me. I'm working on it, folks. I'm going to get this thing down to like a couple of minutes. And so, Jim, welcome to the show. Who are you? What do you do? Why do you do it?
Thanks for having me. First off, my name is Jim Tsigos. I own Tsigos Construction, LLC, out of Delran, New Jersey. What we do is we take on full-scale remodels. We do projects, that can range from a day or two upwards of being on site for a couple of months at a time. So we handle pretty much every single aspect of the trades, I should say, subcontractors, all that, whatever it may be. But I personally still install all my tile, a majority of my flooring, stuff like that. Just by being on site every day, you can kind of give the clients that good, white glove experience with the remodels, stuff like that. And I try and keep my business, very personal to my clientele to give them, like I said, a great experience with it. This way they keep calling us back, referring us, whatever it may be.
Mm-hmm. I like it. And look, you're up in Jersey, part of that Jersey crew. You got to put up with Ken Balin, so you're just a good man for that.
I think we all have to put up with him, but
It's that big head. But no, awesome. Again, thank you for joining us. I love that you still play an active part in doing certain things because you enjoy doing them, but you've been able to find partners to help make larger projects happen so that you can service more of a home as opposed to just finding one small part to do. You can go in and say, oh, you know, you want a bathroom remodel? Okay, well, as long as you're doing that, what else are you doing? Oh, I can handle that. Right now you get a bigger ticket, you sub it out, you still make a little bit on that. And
absolutely.
it gives you more options, especially, a lot of people are looking at this economy and they don't know what's going to come next. The more projects you can take on and handle, the better poised you are to survive a downturn when it comes. But that is not the reason for the season. So we hopped on the phone. We were kind of chatting back and forth. You volunteer at a local vocational school, local high school, both. I forget exactly what it is.
For anything that comes my way, I try and give back to the industry. I've been around for a long time. I started out as I'm not even going to say an apprentice because that's what I wasn't even doing that yet. But I've been around for a long time. I knew my place the whole way along. Sweep up at the end of the day, make the lead job easier, whatever it may be. And the trades have been good to me over the past 24 years.
Mm-hmm.
I have a good life with my family. I have freedom of schedule. I'm established in my area, so work's usually not an issue. And I like to give that back to people, give them that opportunity. I let them know it's not going to be an easy road.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't easy for me. I had to fight to get here. There was a lot of tough days, going in where I wanted to give this stuff up. But at the end of the day, I stuck it through, and I couldn't be happier with my decision. So I try and pass that back any way I can, whether it be networking events, trade shows, high schools, vocational schools. My local suppliers are doing workshops, whatever it may be. I
Mm-hmm.
try and always keep myself available for these things. That way I can go in there and, somebody might hear something that makes sense to them. Might be able to point somebody in the right direction with something, make their life a little bit easier. Or even, somebody that's on the borderline, if they want to go this route on being a business owner, give them some insight on what it is to, what it takes to get there.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I'm very involved with it. I try and, give back as much as I can. People did it for me, so who am I not to return?
Well, that's great because you had a lot of amazing mentors there. I think there is a problem within this industry that scarcity mindset is very prevalent, and people are, you're gonna, if I train you well enough that you can leave me, then you're gonna go steal my work and I'm not gonna have work anymore. And that's rampant. And so the fact that you're willing to give so freely, I love, right? You'll help anybody. You'll help the guy down the street just as much as
It's
you'll.
not, that's not the idea behind it, at least from my point of view. We train these guys because we want them to go out and be successful,
Mhm.
start their own businesses, spread their wings and fly, so they can get that life for their families and stuff like that. And then you still use them because they're going to do things correctly at that point because you've trained them at that point. And, you'd be greedy to, to not want them to go out and be able to support their families that way. You still friends. I still talk to the guys that brought me up pretty
Mhm.
regularly, actually. We still swing hammers together at times, whatever it may be. And like I said, you want these guys to go out and do that. And you still work together. You all make money together. That's the end game plan with it.
I
Nobody's
totally
going to stay
agree.
forever.
I think that, I've got people that I'll collaborate with around here when I was still running my flooring business and, hey, you're not busy. I need a hand doing a pour. Can you come help me? Right. Who do you know? Or if a job's too big, what can you take on? Guys in big cities that could get apartment complexes, like New York has tons of apartment buildings that are just,
Oh, yeah.
floor after floor of hardwood. Well, one guy can't do that, but one guy with five other friends that do sand and finish could take on that contract and say, hey man, I found us all work for the next month. We're going to go knock out this building. Let's go. And so
Yeah.
like there's a different mindset when you're able to do that and you're looking for how can I help other people prosper like I have. And I love that you said I have the freedom of time, right? Like you've been able to grow your business to a point where you can live comfortably and you can pick and choose when you want to work, how you want to work. And if you need to take a random Tuesday off, you can do that. But it didn't come without one, learning how to run a business and run it profitably. But that gave you so much power to better control your life instead of letting it run you to where you constantly have to run around and do every beck and call of a client. And so the people that you're interacting with are learning a much better skill set than I think a lot of the people in this industry when they're trained, right? They're not seeing that side of a business. They're only
We've all
seeing
been
I
there.
have
We've
to
all
slave
been out on
away.
those. We've all been there. We've all been out on those jobs. December 23rd at 11 o'clock at night, trying to wrap up a project because the clients have 50 people coming over the next day, and da da da. Since my kids were born, I've really toned it down a lot. I've
Mhm.
downsized. I keep a select number of jobs that I do per year, and that's about it. It's not more than I can handle. And I like to be present in my kids' life right now. I
Mhm.
mean, they're only going to want to hang out with dad for so many years. So while
Yeah.
they're willing, I have to be available for that.
Mhm.
I was just out right on with my son for JLC a couple of weeks ago. This is our second year. We saw Miss Shauna there, who he absolutely adores because she has ducks that she gives him. And it's nice to be able to get away and do that stuff. It didn't come without sacrifice, though. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? I had so many years of going through and just working crazy, trying to build up that reputation, build up your brand, build up your name, all that. And, it's finally starting to pay off a little bit after all these years.
Mhm.
Like I said, since my kids were born, I've really toned it down a lot.
I can't blame you. You're right. They're only young ones. We have to enjoy that time with them, or at least I hope you want to.
Yeah,
Not
yeah.
not everybody's built that way, and that's you do you. I've toned it down, and I enjoy spending the time with them, especially now that they're both teenagers for the most part. They're the fact that my son doesn't want to get out of the car like a block away from where I'm dropping him off is amazing to me, and I want to enjoy those moments as long as I can. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you're talking about you'll go to a high school, you'll go to the like the vocational school, you'll go down to distributors. What are you doing? Like what you're not afraid to give out advice, especially in a local area, because obviously you believe there's enough work to go around and you're not afraid of anybody stealing yours. But what kind of things are you teaching, and then what do you see as the return on that?
It's pretty much just the past couple of years, I've done a couple of things. Most recently, I was just speaking at a school with a couple of other people. It wasn't a trade school; it was just a general school, but they wanted to emphasize, we still need people in the trades out there. So they had, two guys from a union. They had like a second year apprentice out there, and then they brought me in as a self-employed contractor.
Hmm.
And pretty much what they did was they set up a panel of us up there on a stage. They had a moderator that was asking us questions, and then they had all the students out and in the auditorium sitting there, and they would go through and ask us questions about why we decided we wanted to go this route, how are we doing with it, is it providing for your family, da da da, what did you have to do to get there. And it's pretty much just telling them about our experiences going through this process to become business owners and stuff like that. Another one we did, I've been here a couple of times at this point. It's at a vocational school. And we just go there and give them ideas on what they can do. These kids, they're in a vocational school. They know they want to go the trade route. So we're trying to sell them on you know, why we want them to come with us. Like you mentioned a little bit earlier, it's tough to find guys right now.
Hmm.
It really is out there. Anyone worthwhile keeping anyway. And you do these things, potentially to get somebody that's 100% green that wants to get involved into this, that you can take under your wing, show them the ropes, grow them, like I said, to either be a business owner or to be an employee or whatever it may be.
Hmm.
Um, but that's, like I said, the reason that I do it is just because people did it for me. Anybody that I worked under, I'm still good friends with today. I can still bounce questions back to them when I need to. And, I'm happy to give back to that. One of the coolest things we did was a couple of years ago, Williamson College of the Trades. It's over in Pennsylvania,
Okay.
about 40 minutes from my house. But me and a couple of guys, Scott Carruthers, put up an email to some of us guys in the area. They're like, hey, we got to do tile the floor. We've got this supplier, this, donating this. We're going to go through, we're going to pour it, we're going to put uncoupling down, and then we're installing a bunch of 12 by 24 with the kids of the class. And it was an unreal experience being there. Anthony Ritz from Three Brothers Tile, me and him were there for a couple of days. And Donnie from Donnie's Tile and Remodeling,
Yeah.
he came in the last day when we weren't there. But it was an absolutely amazing experience to sit there with these kids who actually cared about going into the trades, wanted to go this route in life, and throw out a couple of business cards when you leave.
Hmm.
But you're showing them directional troweling, you're showing them this, showing them how to, when you come into situations where something's not going to work, which we deal with every day, you got to find a solution for it. That's why we're out there, to get an end product for our clients. It was an absolutely amazing experience. I don't think I'm ever going to forget. That
No,
was just
I can believe that.
that we did.
I mean, I didn't have, I don't even know what the qualifications of my woodshop teacher were, to be honest. I just don't remember. But just
Yeah.
being able to go for 40 minutes a day, however many days you're in school, what, 200 something days a year? I was able to go into woodshop and create something by hand with all these really cool tools in high school. And that left an impression on me that when I was 32 and needed to find a new career, I was like, well, what can I do with that skill set? And I was like, oh, wood flooring. And then, everyone that's listened long enough has heard the story. And now it landed me doing a podcast because it landed me doing installation prior to that. But it was like that opportunity to work with something and be able to build something, especially as a teenager that was super angsty and didn't enjoy school at that point anymore. And I just didn't understand, like, what was I going to use it for? Right. I think that's what kids still have, the same problems we had, and they don't get it. Right. Like, why do you have to know the quadratic equation? When am I going to use this? Right. That's the question you always ask the teacher. I'm not going to use this in the real world. Wood shop made sense because I could go in, I could create something, and if it was small enough, at the end of 40 minutes, I could walk out with it. And I
It's one
like,
thing I try and emphasize to these kids when I go to these things. It's like all this stuff that you think you're never going to use in life: algebra, geometry,
yeah,
trigonometry, equations. You need all of it. So
correct.
pay attention in those classes. I was doing trig for years and I didn't even know I was doing trigonometry. I never
Yeah.
took a trig class in high school. And I was doing it, on job sites, not even realizing that I was doing it. It was
Hmm.
just, this is the way he showed me how to do it. And then you find out that you really should have paid just a little more attention back in high school, just a little bit more.
Yes. And I think that's the positive of it, right? Is you can go as a, seasoned adult now, right? We're not salty, but we're definitely seasoned, and realize, hey, I should have paid attention a little more. And if I can give this kid, this child, just 1 ounce of knowledge, and they decide to take it
It's
and
150
run with
mistakes
it,
that they're
man.
not going to make that we did.
Correct. Yeah, it's going to save them how
Yeah.
much time, right? Hey, dude, pay attention. Like,
Yeah.
you are going to need this. If this is what you're really interested in, look how you can use it. But at the same time, look how rewarding this is. I think there's, again, to go back to it, there's a ton of kids out there that have the same problems we did. College isn't for everybody. So this dream that's been sold of you have to go to college and everybody bought into it and we took trades out of the schools has ruined everything. And now we have to go so hard the other way and we're still not there. This is your chance, folks. If you want to get in on the ground level, You need to be the gym in your area and go and get these opportunities. And that's my next question, Jim, is how are you finding them, or why does the community reach out to you as this guy? Like, how do I become that guy in my area?
As far as bringing in employees, stuff like that.
No, like to go hang out at the school, to go get on the panel, to be asked to go install with them. Like, how did you become that guy? Or did you go into the principal's office and sit down and say like, hey, I'm here and I'm willing to do it? Like, how did it kind of develop?
We're in a different day and age than when I was coming up, man. We have unlimited resources and technology at our fingertips at all times. It's usually people reaching out to me just from social media presence, stuff like that. I mean, I've got how many people I went to school with, you've met throughout your life, whatever. You've
Mm-hmm.
got them on your friends list, you got them on this and that. And they're teachers, they're this, they're that. So they're like, hey, we're doing this on this day. Would this be something you'd be interested in doing? Absolutely. I'll be there. Anything I can do to help. Um, one of my buddies who was a local installer in the area, his body, he just didn't want to do it anymore. So he went and he teaches a shop class at a trade school. So I've been up there 2 times already. Now
Mm-hmm.
we're not physically talking with the students there, but he's trying to get in, stuff from us on what he can be incorporating to these people
Okay.
that are going to be coming out and being apprentices once they get done with their schooling, or even with the co-op programs, whatever it may be in the school. But again, it's always a shot that leave a couple of cards around. And, like one of my friends, she's a teacher that we were speaking at. She said that she had like 3 kids asking for my information compared to going, not saying anything bad with it, but compared to going union route, whatever it may be. Like, oh, we want to go work for him when we graduate.
Mm-hmm.
So it's more so people reaching out to me. Like if I see something on social media, I'm going to hop on it any chance I get, whether I have the time to or not. But a lot of the times, it's just people reaching out to me. They know that we're an honest construction company. They know I worked my butt to get to get where I'm at today.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to see how I did it, so we can tell them how they can do it.
Okay. So you've built a
Pretty much how it comes
platform.
from me.
You've built a platform that's given you exposure, and people know you're willing to do it because you've done it in the past. And
Correct.
so
Correct.
you got to start somewhere, folks. You got to throw yourself out there. So whatever you can do to get involved and go put yourself out there. But this is the stuff I've talked about before. What can you do to go get involved and work with the local high school or work with the local vocational school and volunteer, right? And it doesn't have to be every day. Can you find 3, 4, 5, 6 other guys or gals in your area to team up with? And maybe you start a program and you guys, you all switch weeks, right? Then you only have to go once every 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, however many people you have, right? You're going in on that rotation schedule. And so it's not as big of a burden to miss a planned day, right? If I had to give up one day a week out of my business, that's a big ask. But once a month, once every 2 or 3 months, is that really that big of a deal? Especially if you can do what Jim's talking about, leave some business cards behind, start interacting with these kids when they're a little bit younger, and you see them, right? Maybe you develop this program out with a local school and you're seeing them go from freshman to sophomore to junior to senior, and you keep running into them, you get to know them. That's 4 years of interactions. What's going to happen at the end of that, right? You're going to know who's interested, who's not, who's a good kid, who's not, who's going to come and work hard. Maybe they start putting in a little summer effort for you. But that we have to do something, because sitting around waiting on our butts isn't attracting anyone to the industry, and it sure as hell isn't getting us any exposure.
Most areas, those schools are willing. They always have events, stuff like that. It's a matter of us
Mm-hmm.
going out and trying to find it as well. Like you were kind of saying, you call up any trade school in your area, they have events where they do that, probably once a quarter, at bare minimum, where they have, a plumber come out, electrician, da da da, and they all go to their designated areas, talk with kids, stuff like that. I mean, the opportunities are out there, like
Mm-hmm.
most of the times, like I said, people find me, but if it's not like you were saying, just sit on your butt and wait around. There's areas, if you want to go back out and contribute, that you can do this. You just got to, look around a little bit. It's really not that hard. There's trade schools everywhere, and everybody knows that we need people, and the trades are suffering right now. So the only way we're going to do that is to show these kids that they can do it, that, they can make a good life for themselves by building stuff with their hands.
Hmm.
So,
And again, it's super rewarding, right? Like that.
oh, absolutely.
I think a lot of people that are entrepreneurs, let alone get into trades, are probably, ADD, ADHD. And so that like instant gratification, that ability to hyper focus, these are all skills that are great, right? You can go pitch this and get them interested.
Great is when you work with somebody for a couple of years and then you finally see that light go off where everything makes sense for them.
Hmm.
The tape measure, comes into play, and then using this tool and that tool, and now they can do stuff. And then you see them starting to go out, take on a little bit of side work here and there. It's building confidence for them. It's, everything's coming together, and you know that they're going to be okay with it.
Yeah.
I know it was, for me, couple of guys I've worked under. I just spoke to one recently that was like, I see what you're doing out there, and frankly, I couldn't be more proud. Like,
That's
I'm
awesome.
so happy for you. Your kids are adorable. Da da da. Let's meet up, get lunch, chat over stuff.
Hmm. Hmm.
This is what we want as business owners to give that to them. The same way that people gave it to us. It's
I
a
would,
very rewarding thing, though. When
yeah.
you put so much into it, you spend God knows how much money on mistakes and buying different material. And then, like I said, that light goes off for them. And then it all makes sense to them. And they're a really valuable asset at that point.
Hmm. Well, that's it, right? We got to put people first. And the way America's been going for years with the corporation mentality is that we've put profits first. And look, I'm all about making money, right? Don't get me wrong. That's one of the reasons this show exists, is I want you to be profitable, but not at the expense of people, because you can't do it without them. And so if we don't find a way to give ourselves exposure and show how great this industry is and the people in it are, then we don't get to continue that. And so we have to show how rewarding it can be and how awesome it is to be around the people that are doing this at a high level. And then we can get them trained up and make them a part of it. And then who's not going to be excited? Who doesn't want to go to work every day when you get to
You
interact
got
with?
to lead by example always too.
Yeah.
You got to lead by example. Be the boss, be the owner, whatever it may be. Show them. I've worked under guys that were just absolutely miserable. They didn't want to be there. And I've worked under guys that absolutely loved their jobs. Now I'll tell you what, I got more from the guys that were, willing to teach and, would call me out on my stuff
Hmm.
too. If I did something wrong, I was hearing about it. I used to get yelled at for wrapping an extension cord. I would get a call at 9 o'clock at night, getting chewed out about wrapping the extension cord wrong. You know what I mean? It's very humbling though, but guess what? I wrap extension cords like a pro now. You know what I mean? All that stuff. It's just, it
Oh,
builds up and it makes you a better person. It's humbling.
now I gotta know. So you don't wrap them around your arm? You let it coil itself?
Oh no, you got to pull out, come back, pull out,
Okay.
come back,
Yes.
pull out, come
Good.
back.
All right.
You just twist around, loop back through, click it in together, and then you can hang it.
All right. So my hot take is, if you're wrapping an extension cord around your arm, you are an absolute savage. And I
Oh yeah,
don't
you're
and I
you
don't
might as well
like
go
that.
work at Walmart. Be a greeter.
Now, of course, this comes from my film background and dealing with really, really expensive cables that if you didn't let them coil themselves naturally, the way the wire is actually wound inside the cable, you don't want to wreck $1,000 cable. But,
Oh yeah,
you get a good extension cord, that's beefy, and you're spending 150 bucks on it. So, yeah, I'm going to take care of that thing too. So
there's a
I
different.
appreciate it.
There's a further meaning to it though. It's don't half-ass anything. You're going
Correct.
to do something, do it right. Do it right the first time, and that's it. It wasn't about the extension cord. It was about taking pride in everything that you do and give it 100% every time.
It's
That's what
that,
those
yeah.
9 p.m. chew outs were about. You know,
It's efficiency, right? You can unwind it faster, right? I love it when somebody hands me one of those and I'm like, all right, well, we're gonna see yours versus mine, and you can take it, and even a 25-foot cord, right? If it's wrapped around your arm and you toss it out, it probably makes it like 10 feet before it just lands in a big old pile. But a 25-foot cord that's wrapped properly, you can whip it all 25 feet out. It'll just land in a straight line. you're ready to go. You're not messing around or monkeying around anymore. So like, does it take a little bit longer to clean up? Sure. But it also you gain that back on setup time, on
Oh,
organization, on
absolutely.
looks, right? People aren't coming by and looking at your trailer and seeing it's a mess. Like, you're right. There's a lot of other stuff that goes into what we're showing the kids. I do need to interrupt this real quick. We got a quick word from John's Manville. The rumors are true. GoBoard Pro is available and approved for steam showers. GoBoard Pro was developed with the pro contractor's ease of project workflow in mind. Panels are sized at 48 by 64 inches. This will limit your waste and they'll require less seams, meaning less sealant is needed. And best of all, you can space those beautiful blue GoBoard fasteners out to 12 inches without washers. Visit www.jm.com/GoBoard for all the product details and to learn more about their other products. All right. How is this played out for you? You know, you keep talking about, you can leave some business cards. Maybe you find a guy, you train him up. How many calls have you gotten?
As far as from people,
Yeah. Like how many of these kids have called you at least just to have a conversation and be like, hey, I'm thinking about it.
I'm somewhat recent to doing this. It's only been a few years that I've been doing it, so most of the kids are still in school for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
I've definitely gotten leads from people like that, though. I have one guy come out and work for me that he came back. He was in wasn't trade school, but he was in Marines. He was out in California doing fire school. Da da da. Came back home a couple of towns away. He didn't know what he wanted to do with himself.
Mm-hmm.
And he came, worked under me for a while. He learned a lot. I mean, I sent him on his way after a certain point because it was only a temporary thing. But he learned a lot. He was grateful, for the opportunity. We still talk pretty regularly, messing around on social media, whatever it may be. As far as the actual trade schools, I haven't gotten too many from it yet. That doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to still keep going. I'm going to still keep doing it. Eventually, I'm hoping it's going to pan out where I get somebody where I can keep them for, however many years it takes to development until they're ready to go out, go out on their own.
Mm-hmm.
So
I don't think that's a bad approach, and I don't think it's bad. It hasn't been forever. There's more fruit than actually receiving the employee, right? It's about being able to put the influence out there, show that this is an option. Just because they don't come work for you doesn't mean they don't move across the country and end up working for someone else and doing it, right? And you don't know who they're going to talk to and say like, hey, I saw this really cool thing. I can't say it enough that finished trades are hidden. You don't see us, right? The walls are up on the buildings. And so as they're being built, nobody sees that work taking place. Everyone knows that road construction's a viable option because you drive around as a kid looking out the damn window. Maybe not these days because you got a freaking device from the age you're like 9 months old. But we generally have known in the past that road construction is an option, right? Oh, I can go like bust up concrete and, put blacktop down or whatever. And that's a thing. I can hold the stop sign and twirl it and talk on a walkie every 20 minutes as I back up traffic for miles on end. It exists. You're able to see it, right? You can see roofing. You can see painters sometimes. You see framers, all this stuff. But you're not seeing us. And so just to go and get in front of the kids and again, meet them where they're at is such a big deal because it's something that they didn't even know existed. You only know about it because you do it. My kids only know flooring is an option because I do it. It's in the house. It's something we talk about. But that's not the norm for everybody else, and you have to remember that.
the last panel thing that we did recently, it was a couple of months ago.
Okay.
We were up there and, they're going through and they're like asking questions about this, that, whatever. And, you had the guy saying, well, we got, 2 weeks vacation every year. We get this PTO, da, da, da. I don't really have to think too much when I make purchases, blah, blah, blah. I was like, I think I worked like 7.5, 8 months last year. I was like, I took 3 vacations over the summertime, and I hung out with my wife and kids all summer because my wife's got I had work, I had stuff on schedule, but it
Hmm.
wasn't anything that had to be done today, tomorrow, whatever. They were fine with waiting until September for it. So I took off, and and I'm telling these kids, and you can see, their eyes lighting up. But I went behind that and I said, listen, it does not happen like that overnight. You're going to be working for a
Hmm.
long time. You're going to have to work 5, 6, 7 days sometimes to get to that point,
Yes.
to where you can actually do that. But yeah, just to see their faces light up when I said that, I was like, yeah, I probably worked 7.5, 8 months. I didn't worry about my bills really. Everything was paid for. It was a pretty funny situation there. Even the union guys were looking at me like, man, geez, dude.
But
So
it comes with sacrifices too, right? It's not that you're not living well. Don't get me wrong, but you could be living at a higher standard if you were to fill that time, because I'm sure you could
hey,
easily go find more projects. So there's a balance of saying, you know what, this is what's important right now. I want to be at this level and accept a little less. There's a
everybody has a different idea on what a successful business is at the end of the day,
Mhm.
their own idea on it. And that was something I touched on with those kids as well. Was that, some people want to go out and work all the time and this and that. I'm just at this point in my life right now, I've done it before. It's just not something that I'm interested in. But it's also showing them that they have the freedom of choice once they get to that point to be able to choose which way they want to go with their business.
Yes.
So
Well, I think that's what's I
I feel like I'll get one of these days. It doesn't mean I'm going to stop trying, going with all this stuff. I'm throwing out the bait. Somebody's going to take it one of these
Mhm.
days. I'll end up with a great employee.
I'm sure.
It is tough to find people right now, though, to
Well,
work for you.
I figure if you probably have to hire, man, at least 25 young kids to find a decent one, maybe 100 before you find the one. So
Yeah,
maybe
yeah,
maybe you have to talk to 1,000 kids to find the 100 to apply, right? Like it's going to be maybe it's 10,000 kids. I don't know. It's going to be a ridiculous number probably, but just to get it out there again, I think that's the important part. Show them that there is options. I think that the way, especially media, is portraying how our country is right now, it's good for people to be able to get in front of people and say, you know what, hey, the American dream's still alive. Look, I've built something from the ground up, and I'm now able to do what I want with my time, and I have the freedom of choice to say I can either take a project and support myself and then take some time off, or I can go and tell a client, hey, I only work 4 hours a day, so the project's going to take me twice as long as everybody else. But if you want Kyle or if you want Jim, it's 4 hours a day, take it or leave it. And a lot of times they'll take it because you've sold them on that you're the guy, you're the gal, whatever it is. And so they'll work with you, right? You go present it. When you can go in confidently and present yourself as a professional like that, and that's part of the pitch, they'll buy it. No problem.
right, absolutely.
And that's who doesn't want that, right? I would love to have heard that as a kid, that wait, you can work 4 hours a day and you can still make good money and
We've all
go
been there.
it's
Some days
crazy.
it's best to just pack up and go home when nothing's going right. You got this, that. You know what? It's, I don't even know. Like, those are the days you drive home and you just drive home in complete silence. You're not on the phone. You're not listening to the radio. It's best to just pack up before you mess something else up for the day.
Hmm.
And, to have that freedom to do that is, like I said, you don't have to, I don't have to answer to anybody. I mean, my wife sometimes, but other than that,
Hmm.
I don't have to answer. And that's another thing that I was, you got to show these kids, like, it's not going to come at an easy cost. You have to go through the process. I'm a big believer in that, as far as going through a work under people that know what they're doing,
Hmm.
go through that apprenticeship. I mean, there's other people that can just pick it up, good for them, but you don't get the crew experience. You don't get all this stuff that goes into being a business owner, running successful crews, being able to manage different contractors, da 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 da. This all comes from all that sacrifice, like we were talking about. And this is something that I try and talk with those kids about.
Hmm.
You have to go through that totem pole to get there. You have to go through the steps. It's not going to happen overnight. You have to have rough days. You're going to have days where you're going to want to quit. You're not going to want to, go back. I can't even tell you how many days coming up. I was just like, I don't need this job. I don't need it. I'll go do something else. But I'm so glad that I stuck it out, you know?
Hmm.
And it's something that I try and instill into all those kids. Like, it's not going to be easy, but is it
Not,
worth it? 100%.
I
It's
think the
worth
honesty is great. I've been that way with my son, at least from the beginning, right? He knew when we were broke. He knows we're doing okay now. I can sit down and have a conversation with him about what expectations are and why. And I think the youth today appreciate it. Like, they have really good bullshit meters because everything's always been communicated to them digitally. And you can't tell when someone's being sarcastic, and like, they've had to learn how to decipher communication in a completely different way than
Yeah,
we
yeah.
traditionally have. So they have great bullshit meters, and they don't want it, wrapped up in a hidden message. They just want it plain, simple, straightforward. Just tell them how it is, as it is, and they're going to appreciate it so much more. And so being real with them, like, hey man, look, it's hard. You're gonna have to make a lot of sacrifices, and then when you do that up front, you can have this on the back end. Okay, well, I can do that, especially if you can get into it younger, right? I got into this and my kids were still young, and those first couple of years of getting everything off the ground, yeah, I was gone a lot. I never missed anything major, but I definitely wasn't home in the evenings because I was out running around doing bids, trying to build a name for myself to make things easier. But if I could get in at 18, 20, 22 years old, get a couple years, maybe you're starting a family, but not necessarily, right? You get in early enough and you can get that time in of busting your butt and building something up when it's okay and you have the energy. Man, I'm only 41. I know you're 40. Like, I don't want to be running around putting in 14-hour days anymore. That just doesn't
Yeah.
interest me.
See, the way that I did, so I started when I was still in high school. I was like 16, my
Okay.
first job in the trades. We were building pools over the summer, swimming pools, which is absolutely, back then it didn't bug me, but the thought of doing it now on a 95-degree day, it's hard work.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it, you're digging, you're wheelbarrowing, tons of sanding, da da da. The thought of doing that today, it's like, but it like, but by the time I was 19, I was doing my own side work at that point. You know what I mean? It was going through those steps and everything. And now it's like when I have guys with me, I've had upwards of 5, 6 guys working for me, and I've been solo. And the way that I like to do it now is I keep it a little smaller. We still run big projects, but that's only because of the contacts that I've collected over the years and having reliable guys that,
Mm-hmm.
with we did one last summer, tight deadline on it. These people had like 5 weeks to get this house done. Big house, big money area. It's like 3,500 square foot of nail down, glue assist. I think they were like 8 by 60 planks. I have no business even touching that right now with another guy with me. I
Mm-hmm.
called up my guy, Ken Pearson, who's
Yep.
a local Jersey guy, and I was like, when can you get here? I don't even care what it costs. Come knock it out for me, dude. And, during that time, I just did everything else that I had to do. But even with my business, it's like I'll hustle really hard to get the job done. As far as like we'll work extra days. One of the biggest things we did was we started going to a 4-day work week, four
Okay.
tens. And then we have those 3 days off back to back now, which has been phenomenal. I could
Nice.
never go back,
Okay.
go to the 5-day work week. It's just the time between setup, breakdown, da da da. The guys get an extra day off. It's beneficial for everybody. That time where you're setting up, breaking down every single day, cleaning up, you don't have to do that anymore. You're actually producing more during that time in those
Mm-hmm.
4 days than you would with that fifth day. And everybody gets a little bit more recoup time, more time with their family, you know? But the way that I run my business now is we hustle hard, we get it done, and then everybody gets a couple easy days. We go clean the shop, clean the trailer. I don't care what you do. I'm going hiking with my kid, you're still getting paid for the day. You can't burn these guys out either. You can't break them.
Yeah.
I mean, you can be tough on them. You got to show them the ropes, all that stuff. You don't want to break these guys, though. They've got families to go home to at the end of the day, you know. So we work hard, and then we get a couple of easy days, and then we go into the next project and do it again. You know,
Hmm.
it's kind of the way that I run my business now. So
I like it. There's actually somebody else that I saw that posted down in Australia that said they switched to 410s, and that had always interested me because I was like, how do you pitch that to a client that you're only going to show up 4 days a week, but you'll get more done because they're going to think you're lazy and not right. Like it's so not the norm. But again, like if they really truly want you, they're going to trust your process and they're going to go with it. And you're
yeah.
doing it, they're doing it, and
Some people
it's
actually
working.
like it, though, to be honest with you, because you think about renovations you've done at your own house, having stuff done. I mean, we've all hired people in the past to do stuff at our own homes. You don't want construction going on all the time. You
Yeah.
need that break from it. Renovations are stressful. I don't care what anybody says.
Hmm.
I tell people that. I'm very straight up with it too. I'm like, especially big major ones, it's a stressful time of your life. You don't have access to your house like you want to. You have plastic down, you have this, that, drop cloths, you have people coming knocking on the door,
Yeah.
whatever it may be. I mean, it's a nice break for them sometimes too to have that easy Friday and then the weekend, you know, just get their bearings rolling again, you know?
For sure. Your house may be a mess and you can't find anything in it, but at least there's nobody in there making noise. You can stop and
Yeah.
think and process a thought for once. I get it. No, I like it. I think it's a great approach. And again, like being able to have the ability now, right, as a business owner, like being able to take a Friday off or not schedule something because a project ended early, and being able to take care of things like, banks are only open 9 to 5. You can only go get your license at a certain time, being able to schedule in a dentist appointment. Like these are all things that it makes adult life, it's just an annoyance because you have to
Yeah.
schedule things so oddly. And so knowing that you can operate like that, it just makes those things so much easier because you're like, I have a day for it. It's over here. It's Fridays. I can schedule as many things as possible to take place on that day because they're always a down day, but it's still a normal business day. And I like that approach. I would think that if you're just talking about that as you go around to these schools and events, you should start landing kids because that's super appealing.
I try and like give off the message. Everybody I've worked under coming up, I've learned something from, whether it be good or
Hmm.
bad. And I always try and give these guys the upbringing that I had and also didn't have. When I was coming up, I was making pennies. I was making dirt. You know what I mean? I didn't have PTO. I didn't have this. I didn't have that. I
Yeah.
didn't have bosses that cared about, I have to take off to take care of a dentist appointment or this. It was schedule it at night. You know what I mean? We got
Yep.
work to do.
Yeah.
I've worked under guys like that. I try, I try and be I always emphasize to them that we are a team at the end of the day. I get you've got personal stuff to do. Sometimes you got to be a boss too with it, where it's like, no, we got to get this done. Da, da, da. But I really try and push that message to these people. Like, you're not going to have to, you got stuff to do. We get it as business owners. You know what I mean? Like you were just talking about that annoyance with the 9 to 5 on this day, da da da. People have stuff they have to take care of. And we as business owners have to understand that too.
Hmm.
Sometimes you got to go renew your license or whatever it may be. You can't be hard on these guys over that. You got to let them know there's a level of acceptance with it, you know, from our standpoint that we're going to tolerate it. Like the guys that work under me now, I never had PTO at any job I ever worked at. I think at the last job I worked at
Okay.
before I went out on my own, I think I had like 5 days a year or something like that, which I didn't use one of them for. But my guys get two paid vacations a year. They get a week in the summer. They get a week in the winter or Christmas time, holidays, whatever you want to call it. They get 5 days of PTO. And if we get done, a certain day, we get done what we need to, even though we're scheduled to be there for however many hours, they're getting paid their full wage for the day. I try and be that. And this is what I'm telling these people that I'm
Hmm.
going speaking to. There are people like us out there that are going to appreciate the work that you do and that
Yes.
are going to help you along the way. We're not trying to use you guys to further our pockets more. you know? Like, obviously, we need them, but we want to make it easy on them too. Give them a good experience to show them what it's like. Like I said, be the boss that you didn't
Mhm.
have.
Well, I think
So,
once when you can explain it to them as, look, I have to make money on you. I'm in business and I
yeah, yeah,
have to make money on you. But the more money that you can make for me is the more money I can put back into you. Right? So it's this self-feeding machine of I take on liability and risk through you. So I have to be rewarded for that. But if you can, the more you generate, then the more that there is actually available for you. And I don't know that a lot of people see it that way, right? It's all, what can you produce for me? How much can you, man, I don't
I
care.
say
Like,
it right off the bat. I say your first year, 6 months to a year,
mm-hmm,
okay? Your job is to keep me making money because if I'm not making money, I have no reason, I can't pay it.
yeah,
So you have to do everything else where I don't have to think about it. You have to know where stuff goes on the trailer. I don't want to call you at 9:30 at night to complain about an extension cord being wrapped wrong. Okay? Do this, do that, keep the site clean. I'm not expecting the world from you
mm-hmm,
and pay attention and learn during the process. You
yeah,
have questions. Sometimes we have question days. Sometimes we don't. Sometimes we have to hustle and make money. But, this is part of the process. You have to learn as you're going and doing your daily tasks. I give guys a sheet. This is what I expect of you. Keep the site clean, da da da. Make sure equipment's set up. Make sure you're putting stuff back where it belongs. This way, it all goes into that process of developing somebody that could potentially be a business owner doing what we're doing. You have to go through those steps with it. And like I said, the first 6 months to a year, these are your
yeah,
duties. This is all I expect from you. If you show me more, you'll get more. But, you're not going to start installing showers, 3 months in coming out of high school. It's just
yeah,
not going to happen.
yep.
So,
Well, I love the approach, right? And I think a lot of it comes down to, you said you've worked for good guys, you've worked for bad guys. Any of you that are out there and you're like, if you didn't like how you were trained and brought up, but then you're doing the same thing, why? All the things that why are you doing all the things you didn't like? Look at it and analyze it and say, all right, let me do the opposite of all the things I didn't like. Let me find a way to make it better so that you can find better people to work with and for you. Because this is why they don't stick around. Jim laid it out perfectly. He gives them a sheet. It clearly defines what the expectations are. How many of you actually have something like that for your new hires when they come on board and they clearly know what they need to do from day to day or what's expected of them, or you've had the conversation, had them sign off on it? Because that's the difference, right? Because your expectations change minute by minute as you move through the job. Jim can't do that. He's now held accountable to a sheet of paper. So if he starts telling them to go do something and they're like, whoa, hey, that wasn't part of the deal, now he can say, all right, I have to adjust my process, and it's on him. It's not on them, and he doesn't, he's not being an asshole to them. This is the key right here. Like, for us to be able to not only go out and reach them, but once we acquire them, to get them excited about this industry. Like, we have to do better in how we bring them up from just the start as greenhorns. How do we get them to understand the processes and fall in love with the industry and become passionate about it? When you're getting trowels thrown at you and you're getting berated at 9:30 at night for doing an extension cord wrong after hours, like, man, I ain't excited to go to work the next day. I don't want to work for you. And that's not cool,
I mean,
right?
there's
Like,
a level to it too. You got to be tough to a degree, but you also have to be, like I said, you have to be a
mm-hmm,
good, a good owner, a good team player, stuff like that. Um, I had, think about stuff you didn't have when you were coming up. I mean, we've all gone to work with beat the crap boots and kneeling on cardboard. You know what I mean? Like just to lay a floor, whatever it may be.
mm-hmm,
I try and make it easier, but I let these guys know what I expect from them as well. And as long as they're doing what they're supposed to be doing, I'm going to try and help them out to make their lives as easy as possible. And I tell people this stuff when I go and talk to them in certain areas, whatever it may be. I've had guys come into work with duct tape holding their boots together. And I'm coming in the next day, I'm priming a pair of $160, $200 boots just because they're on their feet there all day. If you know somebody's a hard worker for you, take care of them.
Yes.
Go get them a pair of good knee pads so they're not going home sore and miserable all day. I got a recent employee in on a pair of pro knees just because I wish I knew what these things were
Yeah.
15, 16, 17 years ago. You know what I mean? I'd be in a
Yep.
lot less pain today. And I don't want them to go through what I'm going through physically. You know what I mean? So
For
you
sure.
got to throw
I,
the perks to them, but let them know what you're expecting from them as well and to do their jobs, you know?
yes, I think people got to be around before they get perks like that, right? You gotta put in some time and effort and earn it. But I'm all for it. I think that one of my favorite companies here in town, they provide almost everything for their employees, right? So they get shirts, they get hats, they get pants, and I think that goes a long way. You're talking about boots if they get beat up. When you've got if you're running a larger crew and you have 3, 4, 5, 6 people on a job site and you all have different t-shirts on, you all have different looking jeans, you all have different looking shoes, you don't notice it until you notice it. And when his crews show up on a project and they all walk in matching and the tools are matching and wrapped with the company logo, like it's a freaking, it's not a circus in a bad way. It's a circus in like, it's an amazing performance of everyone coming in and looking exactly the same, matching. And it's a beautiful sight, and you take notice because you're just like, oh, I haven't seen that before. Like, is this really a construction company? And so little things like that go a long way. And
But
it
here's
like it's going to be worth the investment.
so you go through all this stuff with your new hires, your new employees, stuff like that. And obviously, as time goes on, people go their own ways, da da
Mm-hmm.
da. But guess what? People talk too. They're going to say, hey, when I worked for him, he took care of my footwear. If
Yeah.
he wanted me to be comfortable at work, he made sure I had what I needed. If I had to go take care of a doctor's appointment for my daughter, he's like, okay, I got this. Go do what you got to do for your family because family obviously comes first. And then people talk. So this is how you keep bringing
Yeah.
different employees in.
Definitely.
It goes back to that lead by example. You teach these guys the right way to do it. You be the boss that you wish you had coming up, and word gets around. They're going to let people know. They're going to see, and they're just going to see these guys are happy for the most part. Like, hey, I
Yeah.
got a decent job. So this is goes back to our original topic, bringing people in.
Yep.
Be the boss that you wanted coming up, and you're not going to have trouble with you. You'll have trouble still a little bit in today's world, but it's going to be less trouble.
It's all
It's a
part of it.
lot, you
It,
don't have people going around saying, "Hey, this guy's I'm not going to say any curse words on your show, but don't go work for it."
correct.
You want people saying, "Hey, it was a good experience, and I would go back and work for him in a minute."
If you build a good culture, people will love working where they're employed. And then when that happens, they tend to invite their friends to come experience it as well. So then you get a stronger team because good employees generally have other people in their, group that will produce good employees. It's millionaires don't generally hang out with people with scarcity mindsets that bitch and moan and complain all the time, right? Or billionaires don't. Like high productive individuals don't hang out with low productive, salty, upset, whiny individuals. Like it's just not how it goes. And so if you can build a culture that has very productive, happy people in it, they're going to invite other very productive, happy people into it. How do you do that? Go find them when they're young and build them up. Go create them because they're 18, they're still babies.
Yeah.
You might find the kid that's 16 and wants to drop out. My kid's 14 right now, 14 and a half. He doesn't know anything. They think they know everything. I remember being that age. I thought I knew absolutely everything. I knew nothing, right? Go find that one. Go become a mentor. Go inspire and create greatness by investing in somebody and letting them become everything that they can be. And if for nothing else, just to help humanity. But
Let's face it, at that age, it's just a job. You know what I mean? You
mhm.
still don't know what you're going to do with your life. You don't know if it's 100% right for you. I knew that I didn't want to go, I didn't want to go the college route. It just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
I never liked doing all that additional stuff. I still hate doing paperwork till this day. I mean, I type my contracts up with a helmet on, pressing two fingers like this. I knew that wasn't going to be a route I wanted to do, so I better get good with my hands. And I surrounded myself, and I was fortunate to work under some great
Mhm.
guys that really invested in me. So this is what we should be
That's
doing as business owners today, is going back to other people, whether it be, I've had previous clients reach out to me in the past and say, "Hey, can my son come work for you for the summer?" Sure, why not?
awesome.
You can
Yeah.
sweep. I don't have to worry about sweeping all summer. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Um, but to go out as business owners and give people these opportunities and try and find them, whatever it may be, trade schools, da da da, events,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
try and pass this message on that, you can make a good living and it's pretty awesome to build stuff with your hands every day,
For sure.
So
Go inspire greatness, folks. Go out, meet them where they're at, inspire somebody to become better than they are. And that's what it's all about, is how can you get in front of the youth and show them all of the amazing opportunities that are in this industry. And I'll tell you what, if you don't think there's amazing opportunities within this industry, get out. I don't even care, right? Get out. Go away. Go find something else to do. Go be a parasite somewhere else, because this place is absolutely amazing. And if I wanted to go back to school right now and become like some crazy chemist, I could still participate in the flooring industry by going and working for like a glue manufacturer and figuring out new glue formulas. There's so many weird opportunities within this industry to meet amazing people, and you can find yourself happy in any of them. So if you're not happy here, leave. And I don't want to hear that you don't have opportunities, because you can go create one anywhere. So that's me. Like, I'm going to get on my soapbox and end this on like being really mean this week, I guess. But that's where we're at. Jim, do you have any, like, is there anything we didn't hit on that you want to kind of talk about real quick?
no, I think we covered everything, kind of
Okay.
what we were discussing previously with our phone call.
Yeah.
Just get out there and do something. Don't be lazy. As installers, all we sit here and complain that we can't find guys. Do something about it.
There you
Go out
go.
and inspire them. Tell them why they should get into what we do. And show them, why we do what we do. Go out there and put the work in. People did it for us. They might
Hmm.
not have whatever it is. You want guys, go find them. Plain and simple, and pass this message on as business owners on what it took to get here. You know, that's pretty much all I've got for you on it, though.
I love it. I look at, we're same page. You've got to make it
It's something
better.
you don't say no to. You get invited, go do it. Go do it. Don't say
Like,
no to it. The
don't
trades
even
have been good. Just go
don't
do
even
it.
wait to get invited. Go create it. In fact, I've been thinking about it, and I've it's been over a year. It's on me. Hold me accountable, folks. Put a message in the Floor Academy group when this thing actually airs properly as a podcast. So that's probably in, like, I don't know, a little over a month. I'm going to have gone down to the local high school. I'm going to find out what I have to do to get in front of some kids. I'm going to set that up. I'll talk to the principal, talk to the school board, whatever I got to do. I got a month. I'm putting it out on the air. So you can come back at me if you've listened all the way through and say, "Hey, Kyle, how did that go?" And I'll tell you, I either did it or didn't do it. I'll be 100% honest. I'm going to go do it. I got to get it done this
I'm going to
week.
remind you. Don't worry.
I'm sure you will, but I
I've got
want,
your
like,
cell phone number.
this is, I want, this is what we need to be doing, right? We need to be going out. We need to be setting this stuff up. And so I'll get the note made. I'll take care of it, and I'm going to go do it because I've talked about it long enough. And so if I'm going to tell you all here on this show to inspire others, then I should probably lead by example. So here I go. I'm going to go do it. So that's going to do it for us this week. I hope you enjoyed it. I think this is this is the thing that needs to happen. We have to get young people involved, and we need to get them excited. And this is how we're going to do it. We're going to go meet them where they're at and get to know them and find a way to get them excited about what we do. Find the ones that are interested in working with their hands, being creative, solving problems, You know, who are you going to meet, man? You might meet a kid that's just an amazing salesman or woman, and maybe you don't have to go sell anymore, right? Don't teach them to install, teach them to sell for you. I would love that. I like talking to people, but I don't like selling. So I would love to find somebody to sell, right? You don't know what you're going to find out there. So go find something. Let's see. Visit flooracademypod.com. Go to the files section. Tons of stuff over there on how to calculate your day rate, a job costing worksheet, equipment tracker. So we got lots of good stuff over there. You can also visit the shop, pick up a shirt, a hoodie. You know, it's getting warm out. If you want a pair of flip-flops, let me know, and I can get the drop shipping company to fix those up for you. And you can be super stylish around the pool this summer with Floor Academy flip-flops. If you want to help support the show, you can head over to patreon.com/Floor Academy. Don't forget about our mastermind groups. If you want to take your business to the next level, we are developing groups of 5 business owners and creating accountability and staying goal-oriented, as well as letting you get feedback from other owners from different aspects of the industry, right? You might be paired with a tile guy, a retailer, a hardwood guy, and a sheet vinyl guy. And all of you are sitting there actively talking about your businesses and looking at it from not only different regions of the country, but different backgrounds within the industry to how are you making your business better? How are you growing it? And we're meeting every other week, and that's what's happening. Businesses are becoming more efficient and more profitable through the dedication to actually working on your business instead of just in it. And lastly, a quick word from Tice. Stay connected, continue discovering, learn more, and network. Now available, you will want to access the International Surface Events new resource library. Flip through the digital pages of the Tice resource books to source products. Take tailored journeys through the Tice event. Oh man, I am sorry, surfaces. Take tailored journeys through the Tice event offerings, or watch, rewind, and share Tice recorded content from the event. Available now online at intlsurfaceevent.com, or click on the link in the show notes. You'll even see this podcast featured inside the Tice 2024 textbook, offering select recordings from this year's amazing events in Las Vegas. Don't forget to look at the dates, put them on your calendar, get it booked, and don't take it off, and don't schedule a job. Go to Vegas, meet some people, see what's going on next year in January, and come have a great time. Jim, thank you for joining me. Very much appreciate your time, especially on a weekend. And I look forward to catching up in the future. And folks, we will see you all next week.